As we walked to Athlon's Hanging Albatross pub, I pondered aloud. I wonder what the name Hanging Albatross is supposed to represent. I mean, is it an albatross around your neck, as the saying goes? Or is it an albatross literally hanging on the perch or something? Or is it an albatross that just hangs around, getting into trouble or having a good time? At first, I thought the pub name was rather dumb. But now, as I think about it, it is kind of cool. There are so many interpretations of what it might actually mean. I wonder if there's a fourth or fifth interpretation. Bob looked at me with a defiant glare. We are up against a cult threatening the end of the world, and you muse about the name of a bar. Keep your head in the game, Richard. Keep your head in the game. As we walked, the old world vibe of Athlone transformed into a scary, eerie, gothic, Transylvanian vibe. Although we did not see any vampires or monsters, we did see shadowy figures dashing about in the alleyways and the rooftops. And of course, we saw stone gargoyles and stone demon imps atop many of the older buildings. Gargoyles, demons, shadowy figures in the night, all made Athlone a pretty downright scary place. The Hanging Albatross, carved wooden sign hung above the double-door entry porch of the pub. It appeared to be a repurposed old stone guardhouse, made into a restaurant and a curio shop adjoined to it. But the first entry stone step was raised almost 1.5 feet above the ground, and so there was a wooden staircase clearly added to it. The staircase of wood matched the stain of the restaurant sign above that read, "The Hanging Albatross." Loud music and raucous cheers and jeers could be heard from within the pub. It was a happening spot for Athlone nightlife, it seemed. The Hanging Albatross felt more like a sports bar during the Super Bowl than a remote small town Irish pub. And it did not feel like the deadly den of thieves the hotel clerk was cautioning us about. Katie said, "Wow, I did not expect a hopping super busy pub. I was thinking it would be an empty, lonely place. It's so bustling with so much buzz, so many people." The deputy looked straight at Katie. "Let's stay together, remember." Katie smiled and nodded and whispered to her, "Hoo-ah." She felt so special knowing this hoo-ah saying, and she just loved to say it. A red-headed woman walked up and spoke with a thick Irish accent. "Welcome to the Hanging Albatross. 4 for dinner or the bar." I spied a dozen or so slightly private tables, walled off from the other areas along the walls. It seemed to be some kind of conversion from the guardhouse. I replied, 4, and a table if possible, ideally one of those booths. She replied, 15 to 30 minute wait. Please take a buzzer, it will light up and buzz when the table's available. It only works about 100 feet from here, so stay close by. Well, we decided to go to the bar, even if we had to stand, and order a round of drinks while we waited for our booth. A middle-aged, gruff Irishman looked straight at Katie lustily. "You're a cute one, ain't ya?" He seemed rather intoxicated. Katie was accustomed to being approached, even harassed, by men, and so she had practiced in repelling crude advances such as his with remarkable cool. She answered, "Yes, I am cute as a button and smart as a whip. I'm here for a drink. Only a drink. Thank you for your compliment." Katie turned her back to the gruff man and faced Deputy Taylor. She said rather loudly, ensuring the gruff man would hear her words, "Deputy, do you think we should use the ladies' room?" The deputy whispered, "I don't need the restroom. Do you want me to deal with this guy?" Katie did not reply to the deputy, as the gruff harasser clearly heard the word deputy and was scared off. It seemed he feared tangling with the law, and so he abandoned his sexual harassment prey. Yep, Katie was nimble and she was smart, and deduced that this guy may not want to mess with the law, much less a trained combatant. I had not realized it when Katie first responded to her harasser that she was deliberately saying deputy so he would back off. Katie was smart. She knew about people, and she saw a vulnerability in this drunk, advanced harasser. And she figured how he might interact with her words, and the situation. She seemed to be really high emotional intelligence. It really reconfirmed to me that she was an expert people person, and that she could disarm or mitigate otherwise hostile situations. The pub buzzer finally went off, and we were returned to the red-headed greeter woman. She took the buzzer and escorted us to a corner booth. Perfect. A corner booth. There will be fewer eavesdroppers, I thought. She pointed to a stack of menus held by a loop-shaped wire clip attached to a metal napkin holder, and then said, "Someone will be by to take your order." I expected some old-world food and drink options, or at least names befitting a time gone by, but nope. The menu was like any other bar and pub: burgers and chips, aka fries, nachos, tacos, quesadillas. I felt like the menu was entirely non-Irish. It was the entirely opposite feeling of what an Irish food would be, or at least so I thought. Then again, I thought, maybe I don't know what Irish food really is. A slender brunette woman server approached the table. "May I take your order?" She leaned over to me and whispered, "Leave quietly and swiftly. You are not safe here." I was shocked and confused. I was sure no one else at the table heard her, so I leaned back towards her and I whispered back, "What?" I didn't know what else to say. I mean, one word communicated a lot. It said, "I don't know what you're saying. I'm in total dismay." But the server recoiled, and she leaned to me and said, "Sir, I just need your order. Please do not invade my personal space." I couldn't tell if she meant I was really making her uncomfortable, or if it was a ruse to not answer my question, especially maybe if someone else was watching her. It was rather confusing. I was not trying to make advances on her. After that, we awkwardly ordered simple pub food. Yep, burgers and fish and chips. I shared with the team the server's advice that we should flee the pub immediately because we were in otherwise danger. Deputy Taylor gritted her teeth. When asked to leave, we stay. We are here like anyone else. We should remain in public view if they know who we are. It is much less likely anyone will make a hostile move on us with so many witnesses. Bob looked over to Taylor and bluntly said, "Unless everybody here is a cultist, then they are not witnesses on our behalf. They could even lie, making us instigators, thieves, deadbeats, whatever they wanted to say we were. I would not assume being in public is inherently a safe thing. I'm sorry to say." Taylor looked to Bob. "Right. Good point. Still, we should stay in public view. Being alone in the dark has a higher risk than the probability of everyone in this bar turning on us. Or at least that's what I would think. Let's just stay here and eat our dinners. In between, I will need to go to the restroom, and we can go and canvass the areas, doors, windows, see where things lead. I will try and figure out what rooms and facilities exist in this place and where they are. I respect and suggest you all do the same thing. If you're too scared, stay at the table." Following Taylor's strong recommendation, I said, "When we are done with dinner, I'd like us to walk off some of the calories and case the outside of the pub and what the buildings and businesses and cameras all around them are too. Almost all the United Kingdom has what they call, I think, closed caption TV or CCTV cameras, like on every building, every streetlight, every corner, every ATM. I don't know where they're not. And so we need to make sure that we know where they are, I would imagine, so that we know when we're being recorded. And I imagine we're going to have alibis ready too for areas when we're not being recorded. So I guess I want to say, what do we need to do not to be noticed? That said, we can use CCTVs as alibis for ourselves too, if we want to be recorded in certain areas. I just want to say, use them or lose them, but we should make a plan. Deputy Taylor looked deeply into my eyes, almost soul-piercingly uncomfortable, and said, "Hooah, team leader." She was so intense sometimes, though I was unsure why. I figured her intense personality matched her intense physicality. Midway through our meal, I got up and headed to the bathroom. I wondered what Ireland called its bathroom. Bathroom? Lavatory? Washroom? Water closet? The WC? The toilet? Or just toilet? The jacks. There are so many names for where you do your bio need dumps and releases, etc. I guess we just can't say the bottom line biofunction. In any case, they're all just bathroom roses called by other names. Every one was the same. You did your business, and you got done, and you got out. Fortunately, it was easy to find the bathroom here in the Albatross. There were huge carved wooden letters bolted above the stone portal entry area saying WC. So there was my answer. It was a water closet. It seemed the pub sought to be more European, though, since the WC I thought was mostly Europe or somewhat UK. I was almost to the bathroom when, to my surprise, the black van driver was there leaning against the bar, near the washroom hallway's portal opening. It seemed an impossible coincidence that the driver was still in Athlone days after he had returned us to the hotel. I turned to him and I asked, "Hey, you're the driver that took us from the airport to the hotel, right? And then to the castle and then back to the hotel, right?" He looked at me. "Yes, me name Tiny. Midnight. Say me follow. You. Me do." That was creepy. So I gathered Midnight and Associates. They're keeping tabs on us, I guess, through their dedicated car service and driver. They planted him at the airport to pick us up. They'd had him ferry us back and forth to their meetings. And now they're having him tail us and monitor what we're doing. I did not know whether to be glad that we had this tiny driver's help, or whether we should be concerned that they had hired the driver to stalk us and watch us. Oh, and now we did know the driver's name, Tiny, hence Tiny's help, or the tiny driver. His name was Tiny, a name that somewhat contradicted his huge size. I wondered if Tiny was a nickname, or if it was his real name, or if it was some kind of name contraction or abbreviation for something else. Whatever the case, I did not think it was appropriate nor the right time to ask him such silly little personal details. I looked at Tiny inquisitively and leaned in close so he could hear my whisper in the loud pub, and so no one else could hear me. I asked, "Hey, if you are working for Midnight, is that exclusive, or are you hired on an as-needed or on-demand basis?" Tiny's face was one of a serious expression. I wondered if Tiny knew anything but serious expressions, in fact. But he answered, in a rather smelly, breathy answer whisper, "Me, Knights Templar. No work, me serve." I was surprised to hear that. Tiny of the Knights Templar. Alrighty. Tiny handed me a business card, which read simply, Tiny, at 011-353-555-661. He said, call. Anytime. Me come. Me drive. Me serve.